appreciate your honesty. I did the similar thing, but I don't know if I had to do it all over again if I would have done it that way for
Yeah,
myself.
it's interesting. Yeah, yeah.
It's just a
It's
lot.
hard to see them, right? That's the hardest part.
It is. And I feel like the bigger that we got, we're so focused on trying to keep them happy, but we were focused on growth too. And I felt like those early franchisees that we were spread out from coast to coast, it became a lot for us. I bootstrapped my company. I'm not sure if you did as well, but yeah, it's a lot because you don't want to lose that personal connection with our franchise owners. We need to give them the love, and we need to as much interaction with them. But as time goes on, it becomes a little more of a stretch if we go nationwide. But I can't blame you. I did the same thing. I think by my third year, we had people from Hawaii to New York, and we were in Florida. I mean, it was a stretch.
Yeah, I don't know if you found this too, but COVID helped with this because I do feel like screen Zoom, Google Meet, whatever you use really helps, right? So we're seeing all of our kitchens much more frequently via digital than in person, but it's really helped the relationship. It's helped with relationships and connecting and supporting and even being able to see events virtually. So that's been a really big tool that I think has come out of COVID because I felt the strain of it before it more. We see all of our kitchens in person, say 2 to 3 times a year is our goal. Once when you come to us for the summit, once when we come to you, but then every month, if not more, we're connecting in this way.
Yeah, well, it wasn't as acceptable behavior for ongoing support.
Sure.
Years before COVID, I was at a conference where there was a franchise CEO founder, and she was saying that all of her business coach calls, this is years before COVID, all of her coaching calls were done over Zoom because there's something about seeing somebody, just their facial expression and how they're responding to the franchise business coach. It's for many of us, including us, we didn't really heed her warning, and we didn't use it. And we did, just the calls, and we do the field visits. But I feel like COVID made it obviously much more acceptable for everybody. Yeah. And it does make a huge difference than just that phone call, because you pick up on the body language of somebody, and you can see if somebody's uncomfortable, if a franchisee is, if they're doing well or they're having concerns, right?
Yep. No, exactly right. I agree with that.
With your educational background, Harvard economics grad, then you work at Wall Street, and then come into franchising. It's what's crazy about franchising is there's no formal training. Like you get thrown into franchising.
University. Yeah, franchisor university.
So like a Harvard and Wall Street in some ways prepared you, but in many ways did not prepare you for the franchisor-franchisee relationship, right?
Correct.
What was life like then as really being a franchisor? Because you're no longer running just a company on location, you're in the franchise business. How did that change your dynamic of how you're going to grow your company when you started working with your early franchisees?
Yeah, it's a great question. So yeah, like I always say, there's no franchisor school university, right? That would be really helpful. But so much of this, you have to learn. You have to learn by doing. So we are by no means perfect. We're still learning, but you take your best step at what's going to represent your brand well, and what's going to be fair to you, and what's going to be fair to your franchisees, and how this is going to work. And then you just work through it year by year, right? And I think my biggest lesson as a franchisor was just working with people in this way, right? Because it's not a boss-employee relationship. It's their own business, 100% theirs, and we're licensing them the name and the know-how to do this, and how they've also put their life savings into this, right? They've invested a lot of money. Just learning how to be understanding of what they're going through, help them, celebrate with them the success. That was definitely a learning curve for me. Hopefully I feel fairly well through it, and I feel like we're really supporting our kitchens and have a good relationship with them, and now growing a team of myself. So I think it's been really great and really rewarding in that. But no, nothing prepares you for it. You just have to do it. Like, I do love that about it though, right? Like, I'm not a school person, even though I did go to Harvard. Like, I like to learn by doing. That's my favorite, right? I think that every day it's a new challenge, and I'm either going to figure it out, or I'm going to call someone that's done kind of similar. Like I said with Guy, my phone a friend, one of our partners in the franchise business, and I'm going to figure it out. So to me, that's really rewarding. It's very challenging. It's engaging, and it doesn't feel like work to me.
It's not supposed to feel like work.
Yeah. No, I love that. But, it did back in Wall Street. I did the same thing every day. right? Like I had my lane and I knew what I was doing. And, at Taste Buds Kitchen, when you're a CEO of a small emerging franchisor, you don't have a lane. All the lanes are yours, right? You have team members that you're trying to, swim with you. And we have fabulous team members, but we're learning together. You're learning what it's like when there's 5 locations and then 15 locations and then 50 locations, right? And then you go from there.
How many people are on your team now?
I have 9 members of HQ.
That's a good number of staff for the amount of franchises that you have open. I think it's really solid.
Mm-hmm. We have a great, excellent, amazing team. It's by no means a one-woman show at all. And that's been very, very helpful in having us grow. And then my husband and myself own the New York kitchen and our Maryland kitchen. And then we have teams that run those locations as well.
Who is your ideal franchise owner?
Our ideal franchise owner, it's a great question. One thing I love is that no 2 of them are the same. Right? So there's a wide variety of background coming in. You don't need formal culinary training. Always the number one question that I get asked, right? Do I have to be a chef? No. In fact, we don't prefer it, right? We have the recipes. We have the know-how. What we really want is people who are going to be engaged owners, who want to get in and want to run this business. Want to hire a local team, right? Build community. You're going to be out and about getting to know your clients, your guests, and your community, and then building your small business team. But for backgrounds, it's really very, very varied, from HR, sales professionals on the road all the time, not seeing their families. We have an engineer. We have a woman that ran a soup kitchen. So really very wide varieties of backgrounds, but all, I say the common, I think everyone is a parent. Some were not parents at the time, now are parents. We've had people, have babies while being franchisees. We have grandparents in the mix. But everyone's kids are really involved in the business. So whether they're little kids coming to the classes and camps while you're working in the back, or your kids are in high school and they're doing dishes and working the classes or the events, all the way up to grandparents when their grandkids are now coming to the classes. So it's a really family business. And that's generally what we find for success. So engaged owners, a level of business acumen, meaning like you want to drive this business forward, you want to figure it out. No specific education required. Want to be a member of your community, and want your family to be involved. It's just a very good work-life balance. Part of it is being able to bring your family to work.
Right. It really sounds like it was very similar to my business, very much a lifestyle kind of franchise. There are certain businesses where somebody, they buy and acquire franchises because just for purely the economics of it all. And then there's other franchise opportunities. Sounds like yours is one of them, like mine, where there's a connection to it. It has that stickiness factor where people are drawn to it and want to be part of it and want it to be part of their life.
Yes. Yeah, all of our franchisees want to be clients too, right? Like they love this. They're in it. They're in it for the passion. Yes, the numbers have to make sense. It's a business investment for them, but they're really, really passionate about it, which is exciting. And you can tell. I mean, our reviews, if you have a 4.8 star on Google, it's like the low man on the totem poles. We're like 4.8, 4.95, hundreds, thousands of reviews in some of our locations. So our franchisees, they're small business owners, community members, and really go above and beyond to create amazing experiences for our guests.
I think I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Why is it that you prefer that your franchisees not have culinary experience?
Yeah, great question. So the reason we prefer they don't have culinary experience is because we've done the work to create these perfect culinary, well, nothing's perfect, these amazing culinary entertainment experiences. So we've timed the recipes to cook in the amount of time, right? We want them to be engaging, but not too challenging. We don't want it to flop on anyone, right? The cupcakes have to rise, right? The pasta has to cook. The sushi has to be rolled. So we've perfected that. And then what we've learned over the years is how to standardize that so that you can teach it the same as I can teach it. And your lead instructor can teach it the same way as your high schooler. So it's a system designed on repetition, profitability, trainability, marketability. So that's why a lot of times chefs will come in and say, oh, well, I like to do it this way, which is totally fine and like a great teaching tip to say in the class. But if you start teaching it differently than the rest of the system, 1, we don't have a franchise, and 2, it's not repeatable. You can't train your team around that. They don't know how to prepare it. So as long, and all of our franchisees love food. Right? They love the kitchen. They love connecting, whether, they have fond memories of cooking with their grandmother or, they lived in Italy for one summer, whatever the case is, there's a connection there and a passion for it, which is important. But there's many ways to make lots of recipes. So we've kind of figured it out the TBK way, and we want our franchisees to follow along.
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fumey, or Emerging Franchise Group LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.